Logan Webb.
Welcome in, Lamont Wade Jr. Honored to have my guest on today, Kyle Harrison. Let's bring a friend of mine in, Pat Burrow. Pat, how are you today?
Bill, I'm doing great, man. Glad to be on with you.
Giants fans, this is Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On your exclusive home of the San Francisco Giants. KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
Here's Bonda, set, delivers. Swing on the ground ball to second. Into field it is Edman, juggles it, now regains control and throws him out at first, and the game is over. So, the Giants get 5 runs and lose it 11-5.
All right, welcome into a late night Saturday extra inning post-game show with Bill Laskey in a disappointing game down in Los Angeles. I think all Giants fans shut this off probably after the third inning when the Dodgers were winning 7-0, and there just was no life. And it started with Landon Roop with the first batter he faced with Ohtani, and it just seemed like he was very hesitant in making pitches, and when he had to throw a strike, he bellowed it right down the middle of the plate. A whole different style of Landon Roop today. And it comes from walks. And I think we all talk about this, and you hear all analysts talk about walks will haunt you, walks will hurt you. And it happened in the second inning, walking the first 2 hitters, and the whole inning just went south. The home run by Ohtani in the first inning, his 24th, and then the second inning giving up 5 runs, where he only went an inning and 2/3 with 4 hits, 6 earned runs, and the 5 walks all scored. So, you just got to turn the page, and I'm sure Giants fans are saying the same thing tomorrow again. One more game in Los Angeles with Kyle Harrison against Dustin May. This was the worst loss the Giants have had, and this has been a while back, April 22nd against the Milwaukee Brewers. They lost 11-3. May 5th, first time they lost more than 4 runs. So the Giants, you got to pat them on the back. This has been a very good pitching team. I mean, when you look at the bullpen and the starting staff, these things do happen. And I think a lot of it with Landon Roop today, maybe the big lights hurt him. Maybe the lineup kind of bothered him. Maybe he was just a little nervous on what to do with this lineup, because this lineup is very good the Dodgers throw out there. When you got a team batting average 265, and you look down at every person in this lineup, and Ohtani being your leadoff hitter, hit 2 home runs. I thought the second one that Tristan Beck threw was a good curveball. He kind of one-handed it out. But again, these guys go up there ripping the ball. Yesterday, Pat Logan Webb on the back, only giving up 2 hits to this entire lineup, and it was a masterful game he threw. Today, it wasn't Landon Roop. It wasn't the guy we've been watching. He's averaged 2 walks per game. This has happened for a long time. I mean, he has been very consistent in his 13 starts. His last outing against Atlanta through 6 innings, got the win, only giving up 3 earned runs. San Diego, 6 1/3, no earned runs. Detroit, 4 innings, 1 earned run. The month of May, 1-2 with a 1.7. So this is uncharacteristic. But I've pitched on this mound. I have pitched in Dodger Stadium. I have pitched against some of the tough teams that the Dodgers threw out there in the 80s. It is difficult. The concentration factor is one main thing, and literally, you got to have some moxie. You got to come after hitters. You cannot walk them. And today, what Landon Roop did, he had big trouble in that second inning. He walked a guy in the first inning, walking Hernandez and Muncy, giving up another base hit. Then Conforto hit a double. And the spiral happened, and the Giants just couldn't catch up. I really would like to ask Giants fans this today. You're going to a game, and the game is, 11-0. Do you like position players coming in to pitch the last inning? Does it make baseball a little trashy? Because in my day, you didn't have that. You had pitchers finishing out the game. You had guys pushing to get an inning. You had guys wanting to pitch. Now with all the analytics and saving your arm and getting embarrassed, and so what? And what was the Giants do? They put Logan Porter out there lobbing the ball in like it was slow softball. And then what on the other side? Kiki Hernandez goes in there just lobbing the ball, and then he throws a dart and strikes out Koss. I mean, is this fun for Major League Baseball? To me, it's embarrassing. It really is. There's no reason why you can't finish out games when you have 13, 14 pitchers in your in your bullpen as well as on your staff. Back in the day, we had 10. We had 10 pitchers on our staff, and guys sucked it up and went out there and threw. I just don't like it, and to me, like I said, I think Major League Baseball needs to look at this. I don't think anybody's going to change about it. I think pitchers and managers are going to continue to do it when the game is lopsided. But today it was just embarrassing, and what does the Giants do? They come up and score 5 runs. Casey Schmidt hits another grand slam, and it goes in his records. It goes in his statistics for the rest of his life. He hit 2 grand slams back-to-back. Does it show who he hit it off to? Yeah, if you want to look into it. But today, that's what he's going to go home with. I hit another grand slam, and again, 3 walks in front of him, gets him that grand slam. Yeah, pat him on the back, hell yeah, why not? He gets four RBIs on it. He gets a home run off of it. He's got 3 now. But again, it's against Kiki Hernandez. It's not against a major league pitcher. 808 KNBR. Let's talk the little Giants baseball. I got Steve Kroner coming up in a little bit. Very disappointing game, very one-sided, as this game really took the negatives for the Giants after 3 innings when they fell behind 7, and then they gave up another 3 runs in the 6th with 3 runs. That was Tristan Beck. 4 home runs overall. The Dodgers hit 2 by Ohtani, 1 by Hernandez, and 1 by Rojas, and that was in the bottom of the 8th inning against Logan Porter. So we'll see what happens. You know, you got to turn the page. We always talk about this. Forget it. It's only 1 loss. You're still 1 game behind the Dodgers. They're still having a great road trip. That was the 2nd loss. You're literally, 3-2. We got 1 game left. It could really be a nice turnaround here with a win tomorrow to make it 4-2. And if you don't, you go 3-3 coming back home with 3 against the Guardians and 3 against the Red Sox. So it is a positive one way or not, because you did win that first game. That's the thing you got to look at. You won that first game. Now it's 1-1 going in tomorrow. Kyle Harrison on the hill against Dustin May, both young pitchers. 27 years old, Dustin May. He's 3-4 with a 4.4 earned run average. A big, tall right-hander, of course, the big red hair you're going to see in the ponytail tomorrow against Kyle Harrison. And Kyle's 1-1 with a 4.5. So pretty equal on what numbers are there. Dustin May's got 68 2/3. Kyle's got 23 2/3 innings. One good point, Justin Verlander looks like he will get a start on this next homestand. He threw the other day, felt real good. Bob Melvin said that they will make a decision on what's going to happen and who's going to leave the starting rotation. And we'll find out more as the Giants will come home tomorrow night. They have Monday off, 3 against Cleveland, starting on Tuesday. All right, I'm Bill Laskey. This is the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. More coming up right here. Let's get some phone calls going on. Probably have a little quick show tonight because there's really not much to talk about this game. But I'm here if you want to chat Giants baseball. And we'll have more coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
listening to the former Giants righty. It's KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Heard on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR.
I took my love, took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around. And I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky.
All right, back on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show with Bill Laskey. Giants lose a lopsided game to the L.A. Dodgers, now one game back in the NL West to the Dodgers. The Padres lost a tough one in Arizona, where the Diamondbacks scored 5 in the bottom of the ninth and beat them. They're now 3 games back. So the Dodgers and the Giants will make it one more game tomorrow. That'll be 3 games. They'll have 10 more to go for the rest of this season. Once again, Kyle Harrison against Dustin May. And that's an ESPN game. That's a national televised game. That'll be at 4:10. We'll still have the Extra Inning post-game show on tomorrow. I sat down with Damon Miner on Thursday and had a real nice chat with him. Of course, he's the assistant hitting coach under Pat Burrell. And then I sat down with one of the best writers the Cleveland Guardians have, Joe Anoga. He's been covering Cleveland sports for 25 years. And we'll get a little preview on what the Guardians are going to do here on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So far, they're up in Seattle. They lost 2 tough games and not really hitting the ball as well as we think the Guardians can. Good pitching, good bullpen, but both of these teams will come in with around 200, 230 batting averages. So it'll be an interesting 3-game series. Then next weekend, the Red Sox are here. So that should be a interesting weekend at Oracle Park. And it finishes out with the Miami Marlins. So a nice 9-game homestand for the San Francisco Giants. All right, let's get to some calls here on a late night Saturday. Let's go to Brian in Modesto. Brian, you're on the Extra Inning post-game show. Tough loss today by the San Francisco Giants. They're 1-1 in a 3-game series. What'd you think of the game? Put it that way.
Well, first of all, last night was a big win, and Logan Webb showed some serious leadership last night.
Totally agree. I mean, that was a gem he threw. I mean, when you're looking at what this lineup throws out there, only giving up 2 hits was impressive.
That was Buster Posey type leadership, and he needs to get with Lyndon Roop and say, look here, rookie. You need to be a little mentally tougher when it comes to the Dodgers. And, you know, I always hate losing to the Dodgers, and I know they're good, but I got to talk about this position player crap, pitching crap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know.
It's embarrassing, isn't it? Brian, it's been embarrassing for Major League Baseball is how I look at it.
Well, John Smoltz said a few years ago on a playoff telecast, if you're going to get your butt whipped, take your whipping and move on to the next game and you know, and cheer on your teammates and don't make a spectacle out of it. Okay, you beat our ass tonight, great. We're going to get you tomorrow. But I'm old school.
It works on both sides, though, Brian. Bob Melvin did it also in the bottom of the 8th inning by putting Logan Porter in, and I think that's the easy out with these managers when they're getting whipping, like you're saying. Just throw a position player out there and save an arm out of the bullpen. As I said in my intro, when I pitched in the 80s and 90s, we had 10-man staffs. They have 13, 14-man staffs. And if you can't suck up an inning here and there to finish out the game, I just think it's embarrassing for Major League Baseball to have players do it.
The first time I saw a position player pitch for the Giants was in '91 when Greg Ledden pitched against the Astros. And my eyebrows were raised on that. But anyway, so
let's just go back with a comment you said about Landon Roop. I just want to talk about it a little bit. And I brought up pitching at Dodger Stadium. It is an eye-awakener. And I'm trying to look back to see if he pitched it in Dodger Stadium last year. The 4 tiers, the 60,000 people, and a lineup that they have, sometimes the fear comes out of a rookie. And I think that's what I saw today. I didn't see the same guy that went after the Braves or the Padres or the Tigers. And you can go back all last month. He just didn't pitch with that umph that we saw.
He'll learn. He'll learn how to pitch in the big leagues, and he'll definitely he got his baptism tonight with the Giants-Dodgers rivalry.
Well, just the
Personally,
walks. I think the walks hurt him.
Yeah.
I just thought he was very tentative in how he got behind hitters. You know, when you're looking at he faced 13 hitters, only had 5 first-pitch strikes, so that tells you a lot about him. Averaging 2 walks per game in the last 6-7 starts. He walks 5, and they all score.
I think the Ohtani home run in the first inning really shook him.
I do too.
And
I think that was an Iowa. I think that was the when he started because he threw a cutter right across the plate. He had 2-1 pitch.
Yeah, but he has to realize, hey, it's only 1 run, and his attitude has to be, okay, that's all you
got out of it. He got out of it with that double play ball. And after he walked Freeman, he got Will Smith. He got a 6-4-3 double play. It's that second inning when he walks the first 2 hitters, Hernandez and Muncy. I knew right then and there he was not throwing like he was aggressive, going after the first pitch, trying to make that pitch. And he looked like he was second-guessing anything that Kisner turned down.
Well, I guarantee you Buster Posey will not stand for long losing streaks and will not stand for bad pitching. But I tell you, this kid will learn. This kid will learn.
He's 26. He should. He should. I mean, we've seen Birdsong do it. We saw, Harrison do it. These guys have to get up there, and they have to, now what are you going to do? You're going to regress and go backwards now, or are you going to learn from this? And your next start will either be against Boston, I would think, 5 days from now, and they're going to have a very aggressive lineup, and we'll see if he comes out and learns from what he did.
Right. Well, I know Buster will school everybody. Well, he'll school Landon Roop on the Giants-Dodger rivalry. I mean, this last night's game was a great win. It's not exactly Joe Morgan beating the Dodgers and having Tommy was sort of hold his head in his hands in dismay. I mean, that was my first favorite Giants game of all time, and the next one was the Brian Johnson game.
Well, let me ask you something, Brian. Who started that game for the Giants on that game when Morgan hit the home run?
Was that you?
It was.
Wow.
Gotcha, didn't I?
Well,
I got you right there. I did.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, Bill. Like I said, I listened to your first start against the Expos. I listened to it all the way through, and I have to admit, Bill, I had my doubts. I thought, oh my God, what's this kid gonna do? And you totally impressed me that day. And it was one of the highlights of my Giants long.
Yeah, 1982 was a very good year, my rookie year, and I, like you said, I finished up the last game where we had to beat the Dodgers, and the Padres won, or the Braves beat the Padres to take first place, and we had to beat the Dodgers, and Ron Say hit a home run off me in that game, and I went 6 1/3 innings, and then Lavelle came in, and Mitten came in, and Joe Morgan hit his home run, and we were dancing in the clubhouse.
Yeah, I was sitting in my living room. I watched the whole game. And old Moon Man, he was the first Giants closer that I was ever familiar with. And I thought back then, back then the 30 saves was a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a lot, but not compared to 40.
Well, and how many times he went more than one inning to get the save? He went more than one inning to get that save. I think he ended up going almost 2 innings, I believe.
How many times did Bruce Sutter go 3 innings?
Oh, of course.
You never had a chance.
Yeah. Goose Gossett. We could throw them all out there, Brian. There's a lot of closers that went more than 1 inning.
Right. Anyway, I know you got other callers, and thank you for your time, Bill.
Brian, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad you brought up the last game in 1982. That was a fun one. All right, have a good night, Brian. Thanks for everything. All right, let's go to Daryl and Sac. Mr. Daryl, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. It's Daniel, actually.
I apologize. I read it wrong. My apologies. My eyes are a little tired after that whooping we got.
Oh, tell me about it. I feel deflated, I thought I felt deflated after Game 3 over at the Rockies.
That was a tough loss, man. That was a real tough one there. And it was just, last night, we were talking about Casey Schmidt on the Sports Phone show, and I just felt it was a tough ball that he booted. That ball came up on him with a little spin on it. He almost got him at first base, but a lot of people were just all over him, and I thought he played well. He's been playing third base really well for the Giants ever since Chapman got hurt. Again, 2 days in a row, 2 grand slams. We'll be talking about it, but will you remember the second one?
Right. I couldn't have said it better than the Brian from Modesto. I just wanted to ask you, do you think a better pitching rotation would have turned this game around, say if maybe Birdsong would have been?
No, you got to go in the rotation you're set. You're not going to break the rotation up. It's just how everything falls into place. When you looked at what Landon Root coming in here, he was pitching very well. Today it was just tentative. I pitched on that mound. It is a different house to pitch in. And with the lineup after yesterday only getting 2 hits, they were coming out and seeing anything they could sit and drive on. And Ohtani hit that 2-1 cutter way up in right field. He gets out of the first inning. And then the second inning, he was lost. And I keep bringing up the 2 walks. Well, the 2 walks are haunts. And those haunted him. And then the base hit and a double, and boom, the game was over. They're not going to lose 6-0. Then they get one more in the 7th or one more in the 3rd. But there was one guy that I really want to talk about, and I'm glad I put an asterisk by it, was Spencer Bivens. You know, he went out there and threw 3 in the 3rd innings, only giving up 2 hits. This kid came in and battled and got, you know, when you're looking at 10 outs and only giving up 1 run, I thought he pitched well to give the Giants some length before Tristan Beck got in there, and Tristan Beck struggled tonight.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Well, thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Daniel, thanks for the call on a late night Saturday, and I really believe that. Spencer Bivens came in, shut the door, and a couple times, 1, 2, 3 innings, and I thought he pitched very well. Threw 54 pitches, 31 for strikes, good numbers right there. 5 ground ball outs, 2 fly ball outs. And he gave the Giants opportunities, but it was just too big of a margin. You look on the other side, Clayton Kershaw, a guy that's 37 years old, and he goes 81 pitches, 56 for strikes. And you look what he threw, a fastball that was about 88 to 90. The slider still had nice spin, nice cut on it. 16 curveballs that really were off-speed curveballs. You talk about a 12-6 drop. You know, a couple of them, Tyler Fitzgerald had no chance. He punched out twice on the curveball, one looking and one swinging. He still got a little left in his tank. And tonight, that's what he did. He put it together through 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and he's 2-0. And he's going to continue to go out there and continue to try to throw at 37 years old. 5 ground ball outs, 10 fly ball outs. The Giants just couldn't muster anything. They had a couple innings where they got the leadoff hitter on, and that's where they stood. A double in the 3rd inning by Encarnacion, never moved. Another double in the 5th inning by Dominic Smith, never moved. A base hit in the 6th inning by Kisner, never moved. And I'm talking about after that, 3 outs. So never even advanced to another base because there was this fly balls and strikeouts. Oh, we got to turn the page, no question about it. Our Giants are now 9-9 against the National League West. They're 19-19 away from Oracle, 22-11 at home. And the numbers mount up against left-hand pitchers. They're now 8-13 against left-handers, where they're 33-17 against right-handers. And tomorrow we'll see if they can mount an attack against Dustin May, who has been giving up a lot of runs. He pitched against San Diego his last time out. He gave up 5 earned runs in 5 innings. And for 4 straight games before that, he gave up home runs against the Mets, the Guardians, Arizona, and the Angels. And the numbers were crooked. So we'll see if the Giants can push something across here, get some early runs. Dustin May in 68 2/3 innings, giving up 8 home runs. The number here that I'd look at are walks and strikeouts. 64 strikeouts, pretty good number, but 26 walks. That's a huge number. And look what happened today. The walks haunted the Giants, and they ended up losing. All right, I'm going to bring Steve Kroner on next, talk a little bit about this game, talk about what we're going to see in the next homestand with the Guardians and the Red Sox as we continue on with the Extra Inning Post-Game Show on a late night Saturday with Bill Laskey. We'll bring her right back here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
From the mound to the mic, this is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him by saying to your smart speaker, play KNBR.
All right, back on the Extra Inning post-game show on a Saturday with Bill Laskey. Giants lose a laugher down in Los Angeles, where it was a laugher for Dodger fans, as the Dodgers had 11 runs on 11 hits, no errors. The Giants ended up getting 5 runs on 6 hits with a grand slam by Casey Schmidt in the top of the 9th inning, with Kiki Hernandez throwing, a position player. But when you look into this game a little more, the 10 walks, the Giants issued 10 walks, only 1 strikeout with their pitching staff, and the numbers are there. 33 at-bats, 11 runs, 11 hits, and 11 RBIs. And again, the Dodgers win 11-5. All right, we're going to talk to my good friend. He writes for Baseball America and also Associated Press, and he does a lot of stuff with St. Mary's, but then he's a Cal guy. Let's bring on Steve Kroner. Hello, Mr. Cal Bear.
Bill, how you doing tonight? Did Giants play a game tonight? I think I missed it.
Yeah, you should have. I think a lot of Giants fans aren't even remembering it right now. Disappointing loss, but Steve, I want to just jump right in here. I didn't see the Landon Roop that we saw here in the last 8-9 starts. He was a total different pitcher tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he pitched really well. I think the stat was in his last 5 starts before tonight, 28 and a third, and only 4 earned runs. That's a 1.27 ERA.
Mm-hmm.
But you could almost tell from the get-go, the first couple of pitches to Ohtani, he just looked like either he didn't have it or he didn't think that he had it. There are those are two different things. But he just wasn't aggressive, and as Mike Krukow said more than once on the telecast, look, the Dodgers are a good enough hitting team if you're pitching well. If you're pitching behind and they get in hitters counts, it's a really uphill climb. And, obviously Ohtani homered leading off the first for the Dodgers, and that pitch was a pitch that was on a tee, a pitch that almost any decent major league hitter is going to hit out or at least hit hard. To me, jumping ahead a little bit, the homer that Ohtani hit on the curveball by Tristan Beck, I still can't believe that ball went out. That was
Yes, I said the same thing. I thought that was really a good pitch, down and away. He just got the barrel on it, and the ball just carried.
Yeah, I mean that. Tip your cap to Ohtani on that one. But getting back to Roop, yeah, and you've taken this now a step forward, assuming that Justin Verlander is going to return to the rotation sometime on the next homestand. I think most people have been thinking it would be Kyle Harrison who would be out of the rotation, either go back to the bullpen or maybe even go back to Sacramento if they want to keep him in a rotation and as a starter. But after tonight, I mean, look, Landon Roop has pitched well enough over the past month that I don't think one bad start should eliminate him from the rotation. But I think this start at least puts some doubt in the thought that it's automatically going to be Kyle Harrison, put it that way.
Well, one of the things I said, Steve, in my open was pitching at Dodger Stadium. I did it many times there, and it can be scary. It really can. And after what Logan Webb did yesterday, carving up that lineup, only giving up 2 hits and a home run by Hernandez and a base hit by Hernandez to right field, I thought he came in with a little more pressure on himself. You know, you see you're going against Clayton Kershaw. He gets out of the first inning. You jumping out there, and the first hitter you're seeing is Ohtani. I just didn't think he was – as you say, he had moxie tonight. I think he pitched scared.
Certainly appeared that way. You know, obviously you have to talk to Landon to get his honest opinion of it, but certainly watching on TV, he was not nearly as aggressive as he had been over the past, months. And hey, look, on one level, it's understandable. Phil, you do have the experience of pitching in Dodger Stadium against good lineups, but as good as the lineups you faced in the 80s, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a top 4 better than the Dodgers have right now.
Oh,
so
no question. No question, Steve.
And
you start looking at the numbers on it, and I was looking at this yesterday preparing for my sports phone show. The RBIs, just in the RBIs. Now, Ohtani, of course, getting 2 tonight. He's got 41. Betts has 33, Freeman 41, Smith 37, Hernandez 48, Max Muncy 35. I mean, these guys are just coming at you with raw power, and they hit in crucial situations. They hit the ball.
Yeah, and so, again, taking that into consideration, it's understandable why you would be in nibble mode, so to speak, as a pitcher, but that becomes a defeated proposition when if you nibble too much and then you get into hitters counts, they're that much better hitters. So as difficult as it is to get yourself to want to challenge those guys, in a lot of ways, that's the only way you're going to get through it. And, again, I think you said it. I think Mike and Dwayne said it on the telecast. I mean, a night like tonight makes you appreciate Logan Webb's night last night that much more. To go 7 innings and give up 2 hits, just 2 hits to that Dodger lineup. If you got a hat, you take it off to Logan Webb for his performance last night.
Steve Kroner joined me on the Extra Inning postgame show. You can follow him on Twitter at Steve Kroner SF. A pitcher that pitched well tonight, and I talked to one of the callers earlier, was Spencer Bivens. I thought he managed it very well, calmed the waters down through 3 1/3 innings, only giving up 2 hits, 2 walks, and a strikeout in a crucial time of the game where he needed to give the Giants some innings and some outs. I tip my hat to what he did today.
Yeah, and if you consider, too, I know you've discussed, and I can see both sides of the equation on position players pitching, but the fact that Spencer Bivens was able to get 3 1/3 and then Tristan Beck, the Giants really have a very rested bullpen for what you consider their top 5 guys going into tomorrow night. And with a day off Monday, the fact that Spencer Bivens pitched well enough and Tristan Beck didn't pitch as well, but he still gave him 2 innings, they have a lot of options should Kyle Harrison struggle tomorrow, or even if he doesn't struggle, if he pitches well and say it's a close, low-scoring game, Bob Melvin's got plenty of options, and one of the reasons he does is because Spencer Bivens pitched as well as he did tonight.
Totally agree. I want to ask you a couple things here. You know, when they moved the shift and they took the shift out of the infield, I noticed this a little bit more this year where the second baseman and shortstop are playing up the middle more. And you're seeing a lot of ground balls that are on the right side or left side of second base, and that's where the shortstop and second baseman are playing. They're giving really the hole in right field. The Dodgers did it. Even Adames was trying to hit one that to the right side. Have you noticed how the defense has been playing, like I just said?
Yeah, no question about it. You know, it's funny. People thought, well, that now that the shift is over, particularly left-handed hitters who are pull hitters are going to have a much easier chance. Well, maybe the fact that the infielders have to be in the infield has something to do with it. But teams are basically shifting still. If you've got a left-handed pull hitter, the shortstop is one step to the left field side of second base, right? Mm-hmm. And the second baseman for a right-handed pull hitter is one step to the right of second base. If you just look at a lot of plays Tyler Fitzgerald has made in the past two nights, he's made plays on balls that off the bat, to me, I think they're up the middle and they're base hit.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. A couple of those balls, Steve, where you're like, that's a base it up the middle, and next thing you know, they're picking it and throwing them out. And there's a couple balls that were hit were double play balls, and I'm like, oh, that's up the middle, first and third, and it's double play ball. I don't understand with the analytics and how much they're really pressuring the hitters. They hit up the middle a lot. That's where we're going to play our defense a lot. Just like at Oracle, where they play Yastrzemski almost to right center field, and they give them the whole right field line.
Yeah, that to me, that after watching 10 games at what was then Pac Bell Park, that seems like the logical thing to do, because with as short as it is down the right field line, you're rarely going to get a triple down the right field line. But boy, you're going to get a lot of triples in triples alley if you don't play your right fielder much toward the alley. So I think obviously in the last 5 or 6 years, how many base hits has Mike Yastrzemski saved, or extra base hits has Mike Yastrzemski and other Giants right fielders saved by playing as far towards center as they do because of the dimensions of the park?
So, Steve, I threw it out there. You probably heard it when I first came in. Position players pitching in the 8th and 9th inning. I think it's a disgrace to Major League Baseball. It's embarrassing in my eyes as a pitcher. Of course, I brought it up when we pitched. We had 10 guys on a pitching staff, maybe even 9 sometimes. These guys have 13, 14 pitchers now, and they still can't throw it out there for an inning. They're worried about pitch count. They're worried about analytics. I'm gonna call you an old school kind of guy. Do you like it?
I am an old school guy, no question about it, but I'm not as adamantly against it as some people are. Certainly, Bill, you are, because I on some ways I do think. I mean, you put it as like in football, if you're up 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes, you're not going to put your offensive tackle as the quarterback. I mean, that's a lot of ways what this is doing, and so I see the kind of that you're undermining the integrity of the game. The flip side, though, is go back a couple of years ago. Brandon Crawford got to pitch in one game, and Giants fans loved that. That was a big deal for him when Pablo Sandoval pitched. Heck, I remember as a kid watching Dave Kingman pitch in 1973, and I don't remember anything about the game, but I remember Dave Kingman pitching. So
no way! I would have never thought that happened back then.
I think he pitched twice, actually. But so, I mean, so there is kind of the novelty and the, okay, where this game is over, let's not waste any of our decent pitchers. But to your point too, Bill, there is a sense of you're kind of making a mockery of the game, so to speak. So
the pitches that Logan Porter threw out there, Steve, the pitching that he just literally lobbed it like a softball, I was like, at least throw the ball like a pitcher, get in your motion and throw. Hernandez tried to do it. Of course, he got caught on the little 80-mile-an-hour fastball. He was looking for the lob. The Logan Porter thing, I just sat there and I'm like, this is appalling to me. It really was, and I just shook my head, going, I just don't like this.
Again, I do see both sides of the equation. I certainly wouldn't argue against your point, Bill, but I do think there are times, again, the Brandon Crawford, the Pablo Sandoval, the Dave Kingmans, where fans do get a kick out of it. But again, I'm not adamant about it one way or the other.
Steve Kroner joining me on the Extra Inning post-game show for a few more minutes. I got to ask you, Clayton Kershaw, the 37-year-old lefty, he threw a gem tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of years, you think he just can't be continuing his career anymore because he obviously doesn't throw nearly as hard as he did, 6-7 years ago, and yet he was pretty damn effective tonight. I mean, he's been effective against the Giants in any situation. But yeah, it somewhat boggles the mind to think a guy who made his Hall of Fame career as a power pitcher has now lasted the last 3, 4, maybe 5 years as a guy who doesn't throw that hard anymore, but still gets pitchers out. I mean, one guy who comes to mind, I think, Bill, and you and I have talked about him in the past, is Frank Tanana, as a guy who threw really hard. Another lefty who was in Southern California threw really, really hard with the Angels. And I assume he must have had some arm problems, but he became a very effective soft tosser late in his career, I believe, with Detroit. So
there was. I did an interview with him, Steve. I did an interview with him when the Giants played the Tigers, and we talked about all the different things. And he said there was so many times when they thought he was going to throw hard and he didn't, and they made outs and they were screaming from the dugout. And I said, pitchers always laughed like that because they would say, "Is that all you got? You seriously? Can't you throw harder than that?" And Tanana was like, I just laughed because they were swinging at it and popping it up. And today, Clayton Kershaw is similar, but I still think the slider was still slick. That little curveball still had a little quickness and spin on it. And, several innings, the leadoff hitter got on, but they never moved after that.
Hey, look, Casey Schmidt he's got something that no Giant has ever done before him, hitting grand slams in consecutive games. But here's one minor criticism of Casey, and you tell me if I'm wrong. In the second inning, when the game was still a game, it was 1-0, and the first two Giant hitters, I believe it was Flores and Dominic Smith, made outs on a total of 3 pitches. In that situation, my always sense is you got to at least take 1 pitch. You don't want to give the guy a 4-pitch inning. And yet Casey Schmidt swung at the first pitch. I believe he grounded out.
Second.
And
I said I had that as a mark on my scorebook that he only threw less. I think he threw 6 pitches, didn't he? I really believe he did.
I think it was 4.
Was it?
I thought it was a 1-pitch.
You're out, but they don't think that way either. And I always question the guy that comes up and he walks the first 2 hitters in front of him and he swings at the first pitch. Those are the little things that you and I watch, and you just question about the mindset of what you're going up there thinking. A couple other things I want to throw at you before we got to go. When you look at this team and you're looking at the offensive numbers, Encarnacion comes in 1 for 17. Of course, Kisner's 1 for 15. They both get a couple hits today. But where are these guys going to fall into it? What's going to happen with a couple of these players? What are they going to do with Encarnacion? He's just not hitting the ball like they thought he could.
Yeah, I mean, Kisner obviously, they've had trouble with Huff, wasn't producing, and now Patrick Bailey, who wasn't producing offensively, but obviously very good defensively, he's hurt now too. Kisner, I don't think that they consider him as a long-term solution. I do think they were expecting a lot out of Encarnacion. He had he had some moments last season, and by all accounts, he had a really good spring, and he has not produced yet. I mean, I still think it's a fairly small sample that you got to give him a little more rope. But
yeah, he had a double down the right field line today. He hit that ball well. He went out there and got it. Got a base hit, against the lob in the 9th inning. I'd like to see him, put a little more power in his bat. He's a power hitter, and I just haven't seen him drive a ball yet.
Yeah, I still think, look, again, for the Giants to be 41-30 and a game out of first with the overall offensive struggles they've had is a tip of the cap to Bob Melvin and the pitchers. And
I think it's more pitching. I think the pitching has just been dynamic. All right,
Agreed.
Steve, last one for you, man. Let's look into the forecast moving forward. Tomorrow, big game right there for the Giants-Dodgers. Giants win that one. That'll be a great road trip, finishing 4-2. Even if they lose, they'll be 3-3. They'll be 2 games back, or if they win, they'll be tied. But I want to look into the homestand. 3 against the Guardians, 3 against the Red Sox, 3 against the Marlins. What's your thought pattern moving forward with this? Give me a preview.
Well, I think, first of all, I think it's kind of cool that Bob Melvin will be going against Stephen Vogt, a guy he managed for a number of years in Oakland. I think you can still say Oakland now, right, even though the A's aren't there. But, yeah, I think that they will get a kick out of that. And Cleveland, is a 500 team. Right now, Boston, although it's playing better, it's a 500 team. And the Marlins are far from a 500 team. Yeah. So as well as the Giants have played at home this season, they're 22-11 at home. They're winning 2 out of 3. I'm not a great math major, but I think at 22-11 they're winning 2 out of 3.
That's your Cal Bear education.
Exactly. I devalued the diploma a long time ago, but I'd say this: if you just based on that, and you look at what the opponents have done this season, you would think that that's a homestand the Giants ought to have 6 wins.
Yeah, I agree. I can see this happening. The Guardians have lost 2 games against the Mariners in Seattle. They got 1 more there, and then they have a day off also with Monday. And I think Monday is a great off day for the Giants to kind of set things forward and see where Verlander's going to fall in and what the rotation is going to look like. Maybe you get another day off with one of them. Tomorrow, I just think what you said. I think the bullpen will be fresh. How long will you go with Kyle Harrison? And I think Bob's going to play it bullpen heavy.
Yeah, no question. I mean, look, you hope Kyle Harrison is on his game and he can give you 5, 6, 7 innings. But if he's not, with the day off and with the rested bullpen, I would not be surprised to see Bob Melvin make full use of 4 or 5 relievers, say, tomorrow night.
Well, Steve, thanks again for sharing your thoughts on a Saturday night. It's always great catching up with you.
Right back at you, Bill.
That was Steve Kroner on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. We're going to close it out from here. Giants lose today 11-5. They're 41-30, 1 game behind the L.A. Dodgers. Tomorrow, an ESPN game. We'll still be doing the Extra Inning Post-Game Show following that. First pitch, 4:10 right here on KNBR. Kyle Harrison, 1-1 with a 4.5 earned run average. Going against Dustin May, 3-4 with a 4.4 earned run average. Tomorrow, like I said, the Extra Inning Post-Game Show will be on after it. Damon Miner, I got to sit down with him. He's the assistant hitting coach under Pat Burrell. Of course, he was with the Sacramento Rivercats for over 10 years as a hitting coach. Then I sat down with Joe Noga, one of the great writers for the Cleveland Guardians, to get a little preview of what the Guardians have been doing in Cleveland. And as Steve Kroner was saying, about a 500 team. So we'll see what they have in store for the Giants when they play on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at Oracle Park. I want to thank my producer, Kyle Haar, for running the show. Thank a couple callers I had. And we're going to do it all over again tomorrow. So join me on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show following up the game. I'm Bill Laskey. Be safe, be well. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.